Hi there strikers, have you seen a goblin? Do you believe that they exist? Let's find on today's video. A goblin is a monstrous creature that appears in the folklore of multiple European cultures, first attested in stories from the Middle Ages. They are ascribed various and conflicting abilities, temperaments and appearances depending on the story and country of origin. They are almost always small, and grotesque, mischievous or outright malicious, and greedy, especially for gold and jewelry. They often have magical abilities similar to a fairy or demon. Similar creatures include brownies, dwarfs, duendes, gnomes, imps, and kobolds. Goblins are grotesque fairies that can range from dwarf height to human height. Various, sometimes conflicting, abilities and attributes have been given to them. Some accounts claim they are mostly invisible to the human eye, and thus act as phantoms. However, even in traditions where they are invisible, it is still widely known, although how remains mysterious, what they look like underneath their invisibility. They are usually believed to be shorter than human beings, depending upon the source. They can either be stout or thin. Their brow is fully covered with thick hair and their mouth is filled with yellowed, crooked teeth. Goblins are often depicted as possessing a coarse, raspy-sounding, and slightly high-pitched voice, speaking human languages along with their own, and possessing a cunning intellect. In recent depictions, goblins have been portrayed as green in color, but this is only a modern tradition. Many characteristics have been attributed to the generic term of goblin. In some cultures, they are more tricksters, who steal horses to ride at night, hide small objects, tip over pails of milk, and alter signposts, much like the pixies of Great Britain. Some believe that goblins are more malevolent, weaving nightmares out of gossamer and inserting them into the ear of a sleeping human, stealing human women and children and hiding them away underground, or even stealing human babies and replacing them with ugly goblin babies, changelings. A goblin's smile is said to curdle blood and laugh to sour milk and cause fruit to fall from trees. Goblins are often believed to be nomadic, never staying too long in one place. Goblins in folklore. A redcap is a type of goblin who dyes its hat in human blood in Anglo-Scottish border folklore. Hob Goblins are friendly trickster goblins from English, Scottish, and Pilgrim folklore and literature. The benevolent goblin, from Gestra Manorum, England. The Erl King is a malevolent goblin from German legend. The Trasgu is a northern Spanish and northern Portuguese mythological creature of Celtic and Roman origin. Goblinoids are a category of humanoid legendary creatures related to the goblin. The term was popularized in the Dungeons and Dragons fantasy role-playing game, in which goblins and related creatures are a staple of random encounters. Goblinoids are typically barbaric foes of the various human and demi-human races. Even though goblinoids in modern fantasy fiction are derived from J.R.R. Tolkien's orcs, in his Middle-earth orc and goblin were names for the same race of creatures. The main types of goblinoids in Dungeons and Dragons are goblins, bugbears and hobgoblins. These creatures are also figures of mythology, next to ordinary goblins. In the Harry Potter book series and the shared universe in which its film adaptations are set, goblins are depicted as strange, but civilized, humanoids, who often serve as bankers or craftsmen. The Green Goblin is a well-known supervillain who has various abilities like enhanced stamina, durability, agility, reflexes and superhuman strength due to ingesting a substance known as the Goblin Formula. He has appeared in various Spider-Man-related media, such as comics and films, including Spider-Man, 2002, as Norman Osborn, and Spider-Man 3, 2007, and The Amazing Spider-Man 2, 2014, as Harry Osborn. The early Smurfs were called goblins. There is no consensus on the origin of goblin myths. Since goblins are similar to fairies and other spirits of Europe, it is possible that they share a similar origin. Many scholars believe that such creatures came out of an interest in paganism and its mysticism, especially the belief in nature spirits and magic. Goblins could possibly come from the belief that, along with virtuous pagans, there were evil ones that became evil spirits. Sir Walter Scott, in his letters on demonology and witchcraft, ascribed gnomes, kobolds, and goblins, along with Scottish bogles to all correspond with a caricature of the Sami people. While from a folkloric perspective their origin may not be known, there were mythological tales that recount it. One of the most popular origin stories for goblins states that they originated in France, in a cleft of the Pyrenees, but left at some point in history, spreading throughout all of Europe. Moreover, goblins became very famous thanks to fantasy books and medieval tales. Although often described as vile creatures, there is actually a wide variety of goblins types. That's why in this article we are going to explain the different types of goblin breeds and their abilities. Hobgoblins are creatures of the hearth. This type of goblin is often considered harmful and sneaky. Knocker in Cornish and Devon popular tradition, the knocker is a legendary, underground, gnome-like goblin. It is part of the same family of the Irish leprechaun. Tales describe the creature as a 2-foot-tall tiny humanoid with a disproportionately big head, lengthy limbs and wrinkled skin. It is known to disguises itself as a miner in order to steal abandoned tools from the miners themselves. Trow goblins very popular in Scotland. Trow goblins are known to be so ugly that they can scare anyone who is looking at them. Most of the fairy tales about this creature pictured it as nocturnal. As other goblins, they like to steal, and take advantages of the night to enter houses while people are sleeping to steal their furnitures and goods. Kobold. The kobold is a bit different than the previous creatures as it is first found in German mythology. This goblin is a shapeshifter and also has the ability to become invisible. Even if they can do tricks, kobolds can actually help people by doing chores or helping sailors, navigating complicated seas. Do goblins exist in real life? Goblins are one of the most enigmatic creatures we've ever heard of. In millennial cultures, such as the Vikings and the Celts, it is believed that people of that era could communicate and see other beings of nature, who are now invisible to the current humans who populate the face of the earth. These superior beings of nature have been depicted in different films, animated series and all kinds of fantastic tales today. But they were a reality for the remote ancestors. However, there are several people in the world who claim to perceive these mysterious beings, among which we find elves, fairies, gnomes, pygmies, omnids, nereids, elves, trolls, among others. Within the teachings of several ancestral indigenous knowledge, there are two kinds of goblins, the good and the bad. The good ones belong to the light of the universe and are called gnomes or pygmies. The others are dark and evil and are known as goblins. Gnomes are characterized by having a long beard and giving fortune and prosperity to those who choose to help. They play in the woods, in the great rocks and waterfalls. Quite the contrary, we have the elves, with their warty and evil noses. besides their totally horrible face. Some schools of black magic invoke goblins for evil practices, while in white magic you opt for contact with gnomes and pygmies. One of the places where people have the most presence of goblins and gnomes is in the Amazon. Most tribes believe in these kinds of creatures, and not only believe, but claim to maintain relationship with them, physically and spiritually. And you believe in the existence of these beings?